Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Extra Time, the U.S. Men's National Team Soccer Podcast. The reason that's so hard is because it has been so long. I'm Tim Greenberg. I'm here with my brother Ryan. We finally got our tech issues under wraps. Ryan has been waiting for me, so hopefully he hasn't forgotten everything he wants to say. We are going to break down the United States' dramatic win against Jamaica in the Nations League semifinal. That is all coming up here after this, so don't miss it. United States, Jamaica, CONCACAF Nations League semifinal. Tell me your initial thoughts. Did you get to catch the game? I know you had soccer.
No, you can't catch the game because it's on Paramount Plus.
That's true.
Or Univision.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think you know what. So I think we start there. I know in the previous podcast. So first, let me address this. So in the previous, it's been a while. I recently moved. So there has been a really big lull. It kind of timed up pretty nicely. I think the only other one Ryan and I recorded was like Guatemala or something. It was like the Nations League group play. I don't even know if I got it posted. I had a rate my setup type thing. My computer's on a cardboard box. Like, don't worry about it. We are not missing anything. We're good to go. So we're back. I'm officially moved. I got my USA soccer background. I got to get the crest up. So we're not 100% in there. But that's where, the delay has been. But we're back now. United States hasn't really done a whole lot. We've been following EPL stuff, guys playing overseas. But Ryan, I completely agree with you. Let's touch on this topic first. I know that people like streaming, and I know that streaming is the thing. It's taken over. It's going a bunch of places. I do have to say it is extremely frustrating that the United States can't land down a contract for a specific thing. I mean, and they really are, right? So, like, the Nations League is on this, and the United States playing in the Gold Cup is on this, and the United States playing in friendlies is on this, and they were like, is it?
Is
it too much though?
America gonna be in?
But is it too much?
Yes. Well, it shouldn't be this hard to watch them. Football is on one channel, right? It's Fox.
But even football's trying the streaming thing.
Yes, but it's always still shown on Fox, ABC, right? Mm-hmm. They've got it. Why not soccer? It's not like these games, conflict with football games.
I agree. It was super frustrating. So I started at about 6:30. I got my little notification on the calendar thing. I knew the game was at 7, but 6:30 it goes off, and I go, all right, I'm going to wrap some things up, get the dogs out, come back, sit down, and go to watch it. And I do what I always do, right? I Google USA versus whoever they're playing, and I click the watch TV options, right? You know why I have to do that, America? Because of what Ryan said, because it can't be on the same thing. No more turning the television on and flick into ESPN, and there it is. Now it's I got to Google, and I got to click the watch TV. Yeah, go.
The EPL Game of the Week for each day is always on USA. Mm-hmm. Always. They will just be on USA.
And then the rest of it's on NBC.
Yep. Or,
NBC Sports.
You can also watch it on Peacock, which I know is a streaming thing.
And it's NBC's, but yeah, it's there. Yep.
Correct. Right? Like, the Champions League is always on Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they do theirs. It will always be on Paramount. It's not like, this time we'll be on Paramount, next time we'll be on this.
Right.
So, it was frustrating. I did get to catch the highlights, the, extended highlights, so I got to watch, I think it was, 18 minutes worth of gameplay.
All right, so let's do this then. Let's flip it. Let's flip this podcast. Normally, it's me and I'm chatting and I'm firing away at you. Let's do it differently. Let's have you do the little chatting and fire your questions away at me this time. Let's give a little flipperoonie.
Okay. So for highlight wise, for what I got to see, yes, it's as a U.S. fan, it's nerve-wracking and painstakingly awful to watch 95 minutes of a game knowing you're losing.
Right.
right? So Jamaica scores, what, 31 seconds into the
I think
game?
it was 34. I think it was 34 seconds into the game.
Right? And it's not a bad goal. It's a guy comes in unmarked. No one caught him.
Mm-hmm.
He puts a really nice header right at Matt Turner, but it's hard enough that it goes right in. Okay. Bounce back, right? The U.S. has a bunch of chances in the first half. They can't score. Jamaica does nothing for the rest of the first half. Nothing. Right? The U.S. doesn't score for that whole first half. You're like, okay, whatever. We're getting opportunities. We'll eventually score. The U.S. has been known to not score in the first half. It's what we struggle with. Second half rolls around. More of the same. U.S. gets all the chances. Jamaica gets one chance, kind of a breakaway where, who was it that got beat? Was it Robinson?
Yeah.
And he was just slow. He was just slow.
He just slow, yep.
It's almost like he didn't even try to win the ball. And then Jamaica got touched. And thankfully, he was able to get back and defend well enough that the guy really can only just shoot it right at Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So now, you know, more chances for the U.S., nothing. Jamaica's goalie makes a bunch of nice saves. 95th minute of extra time, of stoppage time. Literally the last kick. A little flick on header that just hits a Jamaica guy, goes right in their own net.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And you're like, okay, the U.S. has had their chances, luck, right? If you work hard and if you try hard, the ball will go your way. It happens.
Right. But the question now becomes, and this is something that the commentators didn't touch on, and it irritated me, given who the commentators were. Right? And the surprise commentator
I saw were like Tony Miola.
Well, not those guys, but when they did that middle, so we got Clint Dempsey, who we're used to having, Charlie Davies, who we're used to having, and they had a surprise person, Jesse Marsh. Very interesting to have a men's head coach candidate coming on and doing commentary. So what's the thing they don't touch on? How many games has the United States played where this has happened? Where in the final minutes of the game winner goes in, the game time goal goes in, whatever it is. Like the answer legitimately might be 11 in just my lifetime, right? In just the time that you and I have been watching, like 11. This is our thing. For better or worse, this seems to be the thing. Now, for all of the excitement that happens and the celebration in the final moments, I would be happy moving away from this. Yeah, because I stood there, right? And I have my phone up, and I'm sitting there, and I'm frustrated beyond belief. And I go to our group, and I'm getting ready to text you and Chris, right?
You actually did.
I did. I sent it.
And then you said, my goodness.
I did. And like back to back. So I sent that text message at 8:54.
Yep,
okay?
Right about as it should be ending.
8:54. The corner kick, it says 95-28. And I send the text message, and I said, what a steamy, steamy pile this is, this game. I have my phone in my hand. I clock it. I say send. The corner kick goes off. Robinson heads it in the net. And I'm not, because of VAR, here's my VAR trauma. I jump up in the air, and I stare at the television. And I'm
just wait.
And I'm drifting towards running a lap. I can run a lap around my house. And I'm drifting for a second. And then I'm watching, and our guys are celebrating, and I hear a whistle, and I'm like, what? And then I was like, I think they gave it to us. And I took off. And then I'm immediately texting, like, my goodness, I cannot believe that literally in the final kick, the absolute final touch of the game, it goes in the net.
Yes. So and you made a very valid point when extra time started. It was either you or Chris saying Jamaica is in trouble. They've done nothing.
Yes. Yep.
Right? And it showed. Extra time started, and even the announcers
said Jamaica's in trouble now because they haven't done anything. Possession is 92-8 in favor of the U.S.
It finished 80-20.
Right, because they actually had to do something possession-wise in extra time. Yep.
So for better or for worse, CONCACAF teams that aren't the high caliber ones, so Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, Canada, cannot stay with those teams in the U.S. cannot stay with those teams physically for that long.
Correct. They just can't do it. And that was something that we knew we were going to see. So, like, we go to the starting lineup, right? When we go to the starting lineup, you and me and Chris, I love the app. We're sending the things back and forth. And for the most part, we were kind of like I felt like yours was the closest to being what you thought was actually going to happen. These are the guys that were actually going to play on the field, right? You had Tim Ream in the back. You had our traditional midfielders in there, right? Like, we all kind of didn't have Adams because we knew
I wasn't going to start.
And I forgot about Dest's red card suspension. I didn't have him in my starting lineup anyway, but I had forgotten about it. So, like, I was a little bit more experimental, right? I'm thinking, like, all right, let's see what happens. Richards has been playing in the midfield for Crystal Palace. Let's see what happens when he steps in there. I'm going to try somebody funny on the wing. So your lineup was here's what we all agreed on. I think this is what most of America agreed on. Pulisic was going to play up on the left. Balogun was going to play in the front. Weah was going to play on the right. We saw that. So then it was, who are we going to have backing them, right? You, and I agreed with this, you had Giovanni Reyna on the left. You did have Adam starting. You had Adam starting in the middle because he's back, right?
I thought he would play like 60 minutes.
Right, exactly.
But he did end up playing just the second 60.
Yes, and given what we saw on the field, which I'm going to touch on, I don't know why he didn't start. Now, I know there was a Bournemouth contract, and I know the managers were talking like, look, we're only going to release him. Right, and so there was. The managers released him and said he can only play 30. Berhalter wound up having to use his last substitution in stoppage time. If you saw Adams, he's not happy. He was very irritated about it. My lighting is very strange right now. I'm going to try to get it to not flicker all over the place.
Yeah, but I mean, it happens with everyone. So when Kevin De Bruyne came back from Man City, he only played 30 minutes-ish of a game. Same with Haaland. When guys come back from an injury, they're never going to play a whole game.
Right, it's never going to happen, right?
Matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter who you are.
Right, and I like that you had Adams in because here was what I thought our game plan was going to be going forward and why I'm talking about the lineups. We were the better side. We were handedly the better side. Right, exactly. And then pack it in. So when you know that Jamaica has all the injuries they have, you just go with it, right? Our guys are informed.
Well.
Pulisic playing great overseas. Weah has been playing great overseas. McKinney has been a stud for Juventus. Tillman had been doing okay. Wright was putting in stuff for Coventry. Like, Balogun, Musa was playing very well for Milan. Balogun was probably one of those, like, he's underperforming, probably should have been coming up. Robinson, okay. Other Robinson moving around in MLS. Well. Tim Ream playing fine, right? Fulham up towards the middle top of the table. So, like, we had seen some really good things. Right. And I mean, and Son saying, like, his quote was, Tottenham guys need to look in the mirror. Because this is like being a Tottenham fan is killing me because this is like season after season after season. We start off going, we could be at the top of the table, and then we just give up. But I digress. So I looked at this going, what are the guys I think that Berhalter's going to put on the field to do that? To come in, to go hard for 45 minutes, to go up 2-0, to then sub a bunch of guys out and get our guys on the bench some playing time because we did have a lot of young guys in the roster. So I thought Reyna is going to play. Now, I know Reyna's not playing for Nottingham. Reyna has consistently been one of our best offensive threats. Like, without a doubt. He's outperformed Pulisic. He's probably outperformed everybody but Weah, honestly. Weah is somebody who's just in a cat. Now, they're two different kinds of players, but Weah has just been... My lighting is freaking out.
Yeah, recently, I would honestly say, other than this game, I think the only other player I think that's been playing better offensively than Reyna would be Pepe. The man has 8 goals in 10 games, all coming off the bench.
Right.
For the US men's team.
Absolutely.
That's absurd.
Right. And so
for a guy that was like a nobody.
Correct. For an absolute nobody. And that's what I like because Pepe was somebody who, we gave him a lot of grief. And as things started progressing, right, and we kind of came off the World Cup, and I was like, okay, the guy blew it. Balogun's going to come in and take his spot. And we kind of had a moment where, like, Balogun was performing, but Pepe was also performing. So it was like, Balogun would come in the first half, and he would do his thing, and he would score his goals, and we'd be like, okay, we were right. Balogun's there. And then Pepe would come in, and Pepe would be like, I'm not going down without a fight.
Correct.
I'm holding this spot.
You need that.
You needed it. We needed guys to come off the bench and put in work. I know that's the argument for Reyna and why he's still on the bench and why we need those guys like that. I know it's why Brendan Aronson doesn't start. But I I had Richards in the midfield, and I had Musa out on the right. And rightfully so, Chris immediately says, I don't think you can leave Weston McKennie out of this. Before the game, I think Chris is 100% right. After watching the game, I don't have any idea what was going on. And it wasn't just Weston McKennie. I'll get to him. I really don't grasp it. So then I have Robinson, McKenzie, and Scally. And I did that because, again, I was thinking, who is it likely that Berhalter's going to play? So we had a lot of offensive-minded players. It's okay if we go down a goal because we got subs. We'll bring it in. Most of us were in agreement on all of those. Chris also having Reyna in with Musa and McKennie behind him. So he having more of that traditional, like the guys that we had. So now we're gonna put yourself in the mentality of this. So what do you think Greg was telling our guys before we went on the field, right? You haven't had them at camp very long, but they are very familiar with themselves. Starting lineup, no real surprises. These are all guys that have played together. You're Greg. You can tell, you got 30 seconds to tell them something as they walk on the field. What was your message to them?
Stick to the game plan. They know what they're supposed to do. We have a way to attack, a way to defend. Play it.
And what do you think that was? What do you think that tactic was going in?
Attack the wings. Use our speed. Because it's something the U.S. has always been able to do. Our wingers are normally very fast. It hurts not having Dest. But Weah's still fast. Pulisic has been showing speed. You attack down the wings, create space, and get the ball in the box. And I think the U.S. did a good job of that.
Right. So now we come out, right? Kickoff happens. I'm still grabbing my stuff. I set my iPad down. I'm getting ready to get settled in. I come back and I look up, and the ball's in the net. Mm-hmm. And at 34 seconds, and I'm sitting here, and I didn't really see much of the buildup. Right, we're 30 seconds in the game, so
it was off a throw-in.
Right, it was right. So, and here's what kills me: the ball gets thrown in, right? Sloppy play from Robinson on the left. Doesn't really clear it. Ball bobbles in his feet. It's bouncing funny. The Jamaica guy didn't even get a great touch. Just kind of like backs up and hits it over. And then Scally's like, oh, I'm supposed to be marking this guy. And the guy he catches out of the corner of his eye isn't his man. You can see it. When the ball goes over his head, he catches the dude, and he's like, oh, it's not. He's already covered. That's the midfielder's guy. Your guy's back here. It's a very great header. It's very powerful. I think Turner's asleep, too, because honestly, like, that wasn't that great of a cross. It's kind of floated. Turner's back in the net trying to hit it. It's still a great header. It's still Jamaica pouncing on top of us. How much does that change? I mean, to me, it was frustrating. I didn't think it was going to be as devastating as it was going forward.
I don't think it was devastating. I think the U.S. game plan stayed the same, other than the fact that they needed a goal, right? The only thing that changes, is now we need to score. But the way they went about doing it, I think, stayed exactly the same.
I can agree with that.
We were dangerous on set pieces. We were dangerous attacking down the wings. Weah looked good. Balogun had a couple chances that were good. Robinson had a couple great chances on set pieces that could have easily gone in.
So to me, though, one of the frustrations that I have, and we know this is our thing, right? I am having less patience with Berhalter and our men the further that this trend goes on of not being able to deal with a low block. Okay, when it started happening, our guys were younger. They were kind of getting together. We were learning some stuff. We had some tactical issues. It's okay. You and I had conversations during CONCACAF, during qualifying, and we said, look, we understand this strategy works in CONCACAF. It's not going to work in the World Cup. To our credit, not to toot our own horn, we were right. Because when we all stepped into the world stage, the United States performed, Canada fell short, Mexico fell short, and Costa Rica? Panama fell short. Yeah, you're right. Panama. All fell short. Because those tactics don't cut it. You can't do that against the world powerhouses, whereas we could hold our own. Is it still frustrating to see it against CONCACAF teams? Yes. So, it's Nations League. If we go into Copa America and we haven't figured this out, I'm going to start having really serious concerns. So is it reason for me to think Greg's not our guy? No, I don't think I'm that far yet, but
another thing you need to remember is that Jamaica beat Canada to get here and to qualify for Copa America. Right?
Right. Jamaica was a quality side.
Jamaica. Now, I'm pretty sure if we go all the way back to when the U.S. was trying to qualify for the World Cup, I made a comment about keep your eyes on Jamaica. They're the dark horse.
100, yes, 100%, and a couple of us agreed with that.
And it's they're good. This isn't like this wouldn't have been catastrophic if the U.S. loses this game, right? We're not losing to a horrendous team. Jamaica's not abysmal. Okay, yes, they're not high FIFA rankings. They don't really qualify for anything, but they're not bad.
But let me push back against that and see what you have to say. So my pushback against that is I think the United States has finally established themselves enough that we should just always win games like this. Now, you can't win every game, right? Like, we're never going to be 100%. So I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you that if there was a team to lose to, this specific Jamaica squad is not one to be disappointed in. They were a very good squad.
So put it like this. Like, yes, I understand CONCACAF. After the first, 5 teams, the drop-off is very big, right? Like, if you look at Costa Rica, Panama, the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, all pretty close. All good. And then the gap is a lot larger after that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's no different than going to Europe and being like, what happens if, Finland? They're a good team. They're not an amazing team, but they're a good team.
Well, Iceland had that run.
Yes, loses to Iceland, right? Mm-hmm. Is that catastrophic? No. Should Finland have won? Yes, they're a better team. But you could still lose.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Especially against a team that's riding a high, right? Like Jamaica is riding a high. They beat Canada.
Mm-hmm.
They qualify for Copa America. They're in the semifinals of the Nations League, right? They go up 1-0 early. That's tough. Their morale is very, very, very high. That can be hard to break down.
And it was. And you're absolutely right. So it was truly the best case scenario for the Jamaican national team, right? You're missing most of your key players, right? You know the United States is going to play down the wings.
In the US,
and you know their midfield is very dangerous. So
yes.
The best player on Jamaica, Damian Lowe, hands down. You heard his name all the
Not
time.
Antonio?
No. What? No.
Really?
Yes, absolutely, hands down.
Okay.
Literally everything. I mean, I heard his name more times than I heard anybody else's name. That and their right back. I just was very impressed because he did the thing that he had to do. Now, what did Jamaica do exceptionally well? Putting 5. I mean, when they were stacked and they played this low block, we're talking 5 guys inside the top of the box. Right? And when I was talking to Dad about this earlier, the reality was I literally said, what are you going to do? Right? Because we didn't have the height with Balogun, right? We needed the Robinsons in there. So like you said, set pieces were a little bit more dangerous. It took us a while to get them online, right? But as far as moving the ball in, we go from the left-hand side of the field to the right-hand side of the field, back to the left-hand side of the field. We do a lot of ball movement, and Jamaica just holds. And they stand there strong, and they watch us. And then, and this is where I was disappointed. When the first half started, and even after we conceded that goal, I wasn't worried. I was actually very calm, and I said, because there's no way Jamaica grinds this out. They're going to need another one. Because I know how relentless we are, and I know how much pressure we're going to put on. And like you had said earlier, it's very difficult to grind a game out like that, even if you're in that position.
For 90 minutes.
No, you're not going to. And we are saying this, look, USA Crest, from experience. We tried to do this against Germany. We tried to do this against Belgium, the game where Tim Howard had 18 saves or something. It doesn't work. You can't get a lucky goal. We did it to Brazil. We had 2 goals against Brazil in the Copa America, and we tried to pack the box, and Brazil won 3-2. Right? It doesn't work. Teams who are better than you are going to find a way. Did it work a couple of times? Yeah, but that's confirmation bias. That's affirmation. Just because you did it doesn't mean it was the right decision. So where do I get frustrated with the United States? The number of times I heard them say, what a poor pass, was way too high. We made probably 25 passes right to Jamaica. 50 balls we hit, guys hitting sissy passes.
All right, so you ready for that? So let's see how good you are at figuring this out then. What were the pass accuracies for both teams?
So this one I think is going to be misleading because I think Jamaica's pass accuracy is actually going to be pretty low because because one, they didn't have the ball a whole lot, which means that every missed pass you get cuts into it. So I would say that like Jamaica's pass accuracy was hovering somewhere around 50%. I think at most I'd give them 60, but I'd probably put them like 48. And then the United States, I would actually say our passing accuracy was probably like 86.
Okay. So before I give you the answers, how many passes do you think the U.S. completed?
Over 300.
Oh, that's it. That's as high as you're going.
I wanted to say 534, but I didn't.
That's all you want to say.
Yeah, I will go with 530 passes.
Okay, so Jamaica completed 262.
Yep. Oh, so we completed
accuracy,
like 700.
With an accuracy of 57.
Okay.
The U.S. completed 941.
With an accuracy of like 89.
88.
88, okay.
Okay. Now, I'm not saying they didn't underhit passes because the odd man break the U.S. had, Balogun hit Pulisic a terrible ball.
Well, so hold on. So give me those numbers again. Give me those numbers again, though, because I want to show you something. So give me those numbers again. How many passes do we have?
941.
And what was our pass accuracy?
88%. Correct. It's going to be a big number that you missed.
Hold on. 900 and what?
41. It's going to be almost 80 passes that are missed.
Right. So that's what is bothering me, and I hear what you're saying, but when you turn that stat around, you can't, like, because out of those 80 passes, not all 80 of them were hospital balls, right? Because some of them we just kind of
hit a long ball.
Right, we hit a long ball. Exactly, and it goes out of bounds. You hit something and it rolls. This is we had a couple of them. I would say out of those 80, I would say at least 40 of those were balls like Joe Scally, horrible passes. Malik Tillman, horrible passes. Weston McKennie, horrible passes. Anyway.
So here's the only one that stood out to me. Now, granted, remember, I only saw the highlights, the extended highlights, so I didn't get to see everything. The only one that stood out to me was Balogun's underhit pass in the first half.
To Pulisic.
Yes, it's a 3-on-1.
3-on-1.
And he plays Pulisic a ball that is so poorly hit behind him that Pulisic cannot get onto it in stride, has to slow down because it's behind him, and it allows a Jamaican defender to get right on top of him.
Right. And there were so many things wrong with that play, right? So first, what was really great about it was it's off a turnover. So Jamaica tries to play the ball in the midfield. The United States had a lot of pressure, right? I thought we did that really well. When we lost the ball, we got it back. A lot of pressure on. Ball turns over. We poke it through. Crowd roars. Announcers get up. I'm standing up. It's a 3-on-1. The defender is watching Pulisic drift off his shoulder, right? So in that scenario, Ryan, what do? As the attacker, as the player? As the attacker, you have the ball. Your guy's out here. What do you need to do to put this defender in a bad position?
You just play a through ball.
Right. Do I dribble at my guy or do I dribble away from my teammate?
Well, the problem is he couldn't really dribble away from his. So here's the thing. He's got way on the other side. He's got way on the other side.
Right.
So he doesn't need to drift one way or the other. He just needs to attack his defender until he gets to a position where one of them is in a better spot. He plays one of them the ball in stride. They take one touch. They crack it into the net because there's nothing the goalie can do about it. Right? But instead, he dribbles at the defender, and then granted, he could have mishit it, right? You're running at full speed with the ball. There's a chance you mishit it. I'm not saying,
But to me, he's got so much space in front of him. I would rather overhit that ball than underhit that ball.
Or at least just shoot it. I'd have been happier if he shot it.
I would have been happier if he shot it because what he did is he carried it. You carry that at the front post, right? Because that's kind of where you're going anyway, and the defender has to take a step. And what irritated me was I watched the defender step towards Pulisic, and then he played it to him anyway. I'm like, so he gave you the shooting lane.
Just go the other way.
And you can shoot. It's like the guy can't shoot. Or carry the ball towards Christian, get the defender to bite, and then play Weah, right? Just like you said. So it was so frustrating to watch that moment because you're like, the games like that, and I say this a lot, those moments are the difference between the Erling Haalands and Kevin De Bruyne's and everybody else.
So
Erling Haaland doesn't miss that.
Well, he has. I don't know if you saw the one in the.
Okay, he's missed one. The
That-
man,
did
the
you
man had
see it?
30-something
No.
goals. He had
Did you
30-something
see
goals
it?
in his.
Did you see the one he missed?
I don't know if I want to.
It puts Wondolowski's to shame.
Okay, we don't say that name on this podcast, everybody.
Yeah.
Rip.
So as much as that hurt from Balogun, right? He has a lot of other great plays in the game. He's got a really nice header that just goes wide. Right? It's not like he's not in the right place. He makes some good passes.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating to see like somebody work hard and we're only going to criticize like one terrible thing that he did.
No, I'm not criticizing specifically his terrible thing. I'm criticizing the
Right.
fact that the United States attacking, that was like, if you had to like say, summarize the United States attack in one moment, it was that. Because we had a couple of those opportunities where it's like the guy's in again, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh. Like, now was it as bad as Jamaica's misses? No. I know the guy was offsides, but my gosh, when he missed that open net from inside the 6, I'm like, dude.
So let's jump to extra time. So the U.S. has tied it. It's extra time, right? The U.S. comes out. Jamaica's gassed. They're done. I'm not even sure they had the ball over half.
No, and
during
I
any
want
of
to
extra
say,
time.
when extra time kicked off, I turned around to Allie and I said, this game's going to finish 3-1 because Jamaica can't hang with us.
Correct.
And sure enough, finished 3-1. I just need to throw that out there.
And now let's talk about, as much as I'm not a fan of him, and I know most of the credit goes to Gio Reyna. Right?
Oh,
great passes,
100%.
Played unbelievable. Haji Wright's finishes were clinical.
Absolutely clinical. You could not have asked for a striker to come on and do more than he did.
Correct. The second goal was so much better in my eyes than the first, because
100%.
not only does he score, but he scores after he mishandles the ball and can recover it well enough to still get a shot on net.
Correct. Go back in U.S. soccer history. Think about that type of player. The United States, in the history of United States soccer, has either played a Paul Arriola as a striker, which is not, you're just a winger, that's not really a striker, or we've tried to play the Josie Altidore. Big, strong guy up front, looks more like a linebacker. We're going to hit him the ball, and he's going to hold up, and he's going to try to beat his man and score. And it's never worked. Nobody's been able to do it, right? So we get Haji Wright. But, in the World Cup, we hear the rumors he's doing it in the Turkish league. And honestly, it's like beyond disappointing, right? That second goal was the definition of what we needed in a holding striker.
Correct.
Right? You played him the ball. He was so big and strong that even after he misplays it, he's able to just turn his guy and just knock the ball on the side of the net. It made it look easy.
And to be honest, Pepe has looked like that as well recently.
Yes.
Like even for PSV.
Yep.
When he comes on as a sub for PSV, he has that tendency to play the holding striker and be big and strong on the ball, which is something when he first started he lacked. He was easily pushed off the ball. He didn't. It's almost like he was afraid to go in for challenges.
Agreed. He was. And
he doesn't look anymore. The
most confusing thing for me after watching that game is I don't understand why Gio Reyna is not playing for Nottingham Forest. And I said this in our group. If he was on Chelsea, I know why he's not playing. If he was on Liverpool, I know why he's not playing. If he was on Brighton, maybe I know why he's not playing. What?
Gibbs White.
Gibbs White? No. Like,
yes.
You put him somewhere else on the field. Dude, it's Nottingham Forest.
Tim, if you have Kovacic and De Bruyne in the same position, who do you play?
De Bruyne.
Okay.
I would put Kovacic on the field somewhere.
Would you?
Probably.
Okay.
Giovanni Reyna can play in more spots than just that spot. I get what you're saying, though, that, like, if you have two of the best players, like...
You can only play one striker, and your choices are Erling Haaland or Julian Alvarez.
What are my two choices?
Erling Haaland.
Oh,
Julian
yeah.
Alvarez.
You're playing Haaland.
Okay. Like, I understand
Okay, hold on. If we're going to play this game, you can only play one striker. Are you going to play Kylian Mbappe or Erling Haaland?
Do I want goals or do I want a better all-around player? If I want goals, it's Haaland.
Okay, so
Holland
now
is
we're
a
getting
better
okay.
goal
So now
scorer.
we're getting into the real thing, and that's why I was doing this. So I think that was the game that got played. Was what kind of player do I need on the field?
Yes.
And when we needed that player that was going to take over when Jamaica was gassed, we saw Reyna come in, and he did. So when those substitutions happened, am I disappointed that Weah comes out? Yes, because I thought as far as all of our players go, he was like the one player on the field that I was like, at least he's doing something, right?
I thought Pulisic played very well.
Pulisic played okay. He had a couple moments where I thought he tried to take the game on himself in a way
He
that
does
wasn't.
that at Milan too.
He does, and I thought it like wasn't super effective. But like the other thing that, which is really interesting that they don't talk about a lot, is Christian is still the player that the other team is like very aware of, and he draws a lot of fouls. Like Christian takes a beating. He's kind of like Messi and Neymar when they're on the field now.
All right,
Like
so
you're always going to foul Messi. Yeah,
you
you go.
that.
Mhm.
Because you said that, fouls. How many fouls do you think were in this game?
There were a lot. 71.
Whoa.
Is that way too many? Is that way
That's
too many?
Way
All
too
right,
many.
All right, 43.
That's actually pretty close. There was 35,
Okay.
right? 22 for Jamaica, 13 for the U.S.
I was going to say it felt like it was close. It was like a little bit closer to a 50-50 split.
That's a lot for a soccer game.
It is. With very few yellow cards, and
Well, there were 4 yellow cards.
I know, but it was so hard for me to grasp what was going on because Tony Miola and whoever the other commentator were so bad. Like, we're so bad.
But that's
like
as much
all
as
of U.S. soccer commentary is just so bad.
as much as I hate to say it, that's the refereeing we need for CONCACAF.
You really think so?
Just call everything.
Oh, fair. Yes, actually, yes. This was the
Right?
first. Actually, you know what? I think the fact that I haven't that wasn't on my list of notes is saying something in my brain. You're absolutely right, and we should give credit where credit's due. This is the first CONCACAF game I watched where I felt like the game was in control the whole time.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. There was no chippiness. There were no guys getting in each other's faces, right? I think the most we
wait
saw.
for the final.
Well, I think the most we saw, and there's going to be a bet for the final. It's coming. The most that we saw was Tyler Adams pushing the sub off the field. That was it. That was the most physicality we saw, was him being like, "Come on, buddy, you could do it." Which I love about Tyler Adams. The dude's my size. He's super tiny, and he carries himself around like this. And guys look at him, and he's basically just like, what do you think you are? You want to do something
Correct.
to me? Do something to me. Let's see what happens. Come on, let's see what happens.
So let's get this wrapped up. So, all in all, slightly disappointing, but the result was there.
No, the result
Right?
was there, but we need. Hold on.
Do you agree with that statement?
I agree with that statement. I need to say one thing. Well, I need to say a couple things. One,
All right.
Malik Tillman is horrible. Horrible.
Which is weird because he's been playing very well.
Horrible. I get that. I understand that. I know that the hype around him. Oh my
Have
goodness.
you seen him play at PSV?
You can have bad games. I get it. So maybe Malik Tillman comes in and has a better. But I'm going to give this with a disclaimer. He was involved in lots of plays, because if he wasn't, I wouldn't have heard his name so much, and I wouldn't have said, "Wow, this player's horrible," right? Because there were a couple, like Joe Scally. I thought Joe Scally wasn't great. He didn't see the ball a ton, right? Whereas Anthony Robinson, yeah, early too, because we just kept digging ourselves a hole. Anthony Robinson really he's just not inventive there on the left flank.
Anthony
Jedi Robinson.
No, I thought you said Anthony.
No, I said Anthony. I don't know, I might have said Anthony.
Okay.
I don't care. Jedi Robinson just not creative enough. And then I want to say this, and then I'll let you wrap this. So the other thing I was very impressed by is my two players of the game, Giovanni Reyna on offense, because he completely changed the game when he came in. We're not winning that game if he doesn't come in. There's no argument you can make to say otherwise. And Tyler Adams. I don't.
For defensive player?
Yes, I
Does
don't
it have to be for us or just in general?
If it has to be in the game, it's Damian Lowe. There's no chance.
I don't think he played.
I don't know what the dude's name is. Love something. List Jamaica's roster. I can't remember the dude's name, but
Are
they
you
said
talking about their striker,
no. The guy in the midfield,
Jamal Lowe?
bro. The guy played all game. I probably got
It
his
wasn't
name wrong.
Jamal Lowe. Oh, okay, yeah, you're talking about Damian Lowe. Yes, okay.
Yes, Damian Lowe. Sorry, Damian Lowe. The guy was
I
all
still
over the
think-
place, all over the field, literally
I
just an
think their
absolute
goalie
monster.
was the defensive player of the game.
Their goalie?
Yeah.
I mean, I would also be fine with that too. But for
He
us,
made
it's Tyler Adams
pretty much
because
good saves.
you couldn't tell he was hurt. He didn't miss a beat. His passes were unreal. I mean, him and Giovanni Reyna for coming in and just going like, I'm going to hit this and I'm going to do the things we needed to do. Jamaica was used to the way that we were playing. We needed players that were going to hit the ball successfully over the top. We needed guys that were going to hit successful flat balls.
Hey.
Giovanni Reyna, yes, and Tyler Adams did both. Very composed, very deliberate. Tyler Adams came in the game with a game plan and a mission. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew he was going to help us unpack the defense, and he did that, and it worked out great. So,
this may be just biased because goal scoring. I would give Haji Wright our offensive player.
Yes,
because
you kind of have to. I mean, the guy's got two goals.
One thing to make the passes, it's another thing to finish them. Because if you look at the first half, we had some of those passes. They didn't get scored.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go.
We had got.
No, yep.
You have guys with like easy opportunities to go up and score, and we don't.
Right.
So as much as like, do I think Balogun scores those goals if Reyna plays him those balls? Yes. Like I'm not saying.
But the
someone had to do it.
The second one, maybe not. And that's why I think you're right to give it credit. I think the first one, a lot of guys score. I think Pepe scores the first one. Balogun scores the first one. Pulisic scores the first one. Right. That second one, I don't think Christian's scoring that goal because he's not big enough. And I don't think he goes for it. Pepe might score that goal. Weah might score that goal. Right. But like, Wright really went in there. So I agree with what you're saying. And so I'm going to make the comparison like this. If the game ends 1-0 Jamaica, okay, then it's embarrassing because what you saw on the field was not reflected in the scoreline. When you see the final result 3-1, as disappointing as it was to win the way that we did, I think you are correct in actually the result matches what you saw. The United States completely dominated on the pitch. Completely dominated possession, completely dominated goal-scoring opportunities. Jamaica did not have a chance in the world to win that game outside of that lucky 30-second goal. So does a 3-1 result sound accurate? Yes. If you showed me the stats to that game and you didn't tell me it went to extra time and you said the United States won 3-1, I would have been like, yeah, baby, we're cranking. So it really was only because I watched it and had to suffer through. I think Dad calls them the cardiac kids. That's what Dad calls the United States national team because he's like, I don't know how your heart can handle this.
So it's a underwhelming performance that got the result.
Right, which actually is a pretty decent performance that got the result and feels mediocre because of the result. Yes.
So going forward, the U.S. cannot play like that against Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way. We're going to get absolutely obliterated if we play like that.
Correct.
But on the other hand, the U.S. normally shows up to play Mexico recently.
Mm-hmm.
So
when's the last time we lost to Mexico?
Correct.
It's been 4 years?
Correct. And I'm excited for the game. It's Sunday. It's late. Pretty sure it's probably on Paramount Plus, which means I won't be able to watch it.
Well, we downloaded the free trial, so we'll share it with you, and you can use our login.
Sick.
We only have 7 days, so.
Okay. So that'll be fun. Hopefully we can do like a Monday or a Tuesday podcast now that, I mean, I can do Thursdays now. Soccer's done.
That's a bummer. But yeah, I think we pulled that off. So Ryan, my question to you as we wrap this up. United States, Mexico, Sunday, Nations League final. I need two questions for you. One, what's the result of the game going to be? Right? So I want the team who's going to win and the scoreline. And how many red cards?
U.S. wins 3-2.
And my red card over under is 1.5.
Okay. U.S. wins 3-2 on PKs.
Ooh. So okay.
And the penalty shootout is 4-2 U.S.
All right.
You want to write that down?
Yeah, let's write it down.
Over under red cards. I would need to know who the ref is.
No. It's Mexico. How many games Mexico had a red card in?
No, because the referee that did the Mexico-Panama game that just happened did a great job keeping it under control.
Okay.
So,
All right.
depending on who the referee is,
So Ryan said,
I would go under. If I had to pick, I would go under the 1.5.
we're going to write this down. Okay, so Ryan said,
3-2.
actually, you know what? I guess 1.5 is easy because it's got to be 0.5. I think you're right. Because it's either, is there gun, right? Because 0.5 makes it harder. Because 1.5 is there going to be 2 red cards? I don't think there's going to be 2 red cards. So it's like, is there going to be a red card?
No, the problem is going to be if there's one, there's most likely going to be a second. Because the reason there will be one is there'll be a fight.
Right. Okay, so you got 3-2 on penalty kicks with the United States winning 4-2 on pens.
Yep.
All right. I kind of want to be bold. I really do. I kind of want to be bold, and I kind of want to say, and I know it's going to be cliche. Dos a
cero?
I want to say dos a cero. I'm going to say
Mexico?
dos a cero. No, I'm going to say dos a cero USA. Because I think our guys are going to show up. I think we're going to see some big performances. I think Mexico is going to continue to struggle against us. Now, Mexico, it's going to feel like a home game. There's no way it doesn't because of where we're playing, and it's just a reality of it. But I think the United States shows up. I think it's 2-0 United States. Although I don't think the first half sees a goal. I think it's going to be a grinder. I think
the goals are Pulisic and Wright for the U.S. And I think Lozano and probably just Lozano. I think Lozano gets both for Mexico.
Okay. I could take that as a prediction. That's a prediction.
But yeah, over under for red cards. I mean, there's either going to be none or 2. There's not going to be an in between. It's either going to be there's going to be none, or there's going to be a fight and each side's getting a red card.
Mm-hmm. I think there's going to be a red card. I'm worried it's going to be the United States, but I think there's going to be a red card. So
Give me Serginho Dest.
Yeah. You think it's going to be Serginho? Oh my gosh, it might be. It could be Serginho Dest. He's a hothead. It could be. We could do some dumb stuff. All right. So, United States takes down Jamaica 3-1. We are back into the finals of the Nations League. We have won the first 2 iterations of it.
I have one question for you, Tim, as we wrap this. As last question of the night, and we're done.
Okay.
Right now, your starting lineup for the front is Pulisic, Balogun, Weah.
Okay.
Okay, let's just say that's it. You can make one sub to the offense. You're going to replace Balogun with either Pepe or Wright. Who do you put in?
Against Mexico?
Yep.
I'm putting in Pepe.
Okay.
I'm putting in Ricardo Pepe against Mexico. And it's probably a poor choice. Because and here's why I think it's a poor choice, but I'm going to defend my position anyway. Wright gives us the height and size that we didn't have. And when we couldn't break down Jamaica and we needed to just sling balls into the box, we didn't have a threat in there until we had Wright. But I don't think we're going to go down against Mexico. I think the game is going to be open. And Ricardo Pepe plays a lot better in transition. And if we have 3 guys up front, Pepe's the guy that we need that's going to step back, interact with our midfield, and release Weah and release Pulisic and let Pulisic come underneath. If we need a holding striker, which I don't think we do, we'll see Wright come in. So I think we're going to know a lot about our tactics. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Wright starts against Mexico, given the performance he had and the lackluster performance from Balogun. But if I had to pick, I would put Ricardo Pepe in. And if I had to make a change to the midfield, I would be putting in Giovanni Reyna. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Good enough. All right. So reconvene hopefully sometime early next week.
We're going to be reconvening early next week. We thank you guys for tuning in. We are going to be back after it. United States, 3rd trip to the Nations League final. We have won the first 2 iterations of it. I believe that we will win. We're the boys in blue. We will talk about the jerseys after because it was one thing we didn't get a chance to do. So start thinking about it. Are you going to buy them? Not going to buy them? Like it hideous. USA, Mexico. Can the United States keep the streak alive? We will find out. Catch it on Sunday. We will see you guys early next week.